My first week home was great. We had a party.
2 o'clock in the morning, they were waiting for me.
My niece was waiting for me at the airport with a sign.
There was a huge sign across my front house, and it said, "Welcome home, Megan."
They lifted me up on their shoulders, and
The first week back, people just said thank you.
A new generation of veterans is coming home. Make a difference for them at welcomebackveterans.org.
You're watching WTOP, your home for Laker hockey.
The forest is precious. One careless act caused by people and its beauty could be gone for a lifetime. Protect our friends in the forest.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Here's a look at what's going on around the U.S. Christopher Savoy sits in a jail cell in Japan for doing something he otherwise would be considered a hero for in America, snatching his 2 little children back from an ex-wife who defied the law and ran off with them. The story unfolds 7,000 miles away in Japan, where the U.S. legal system holds no sway. Parental child abduction is not considered a crime in Japan, which is why the ex-wife is not being charged there. However, abduction of minors is a crime in Japan, which is why Savoy was arrested. The U.S. Embassy in Tokyo says Japan is an important partner and friend of the U.S., but on this issue, our points of view differ. 2 nations approach divorce and child rearing differently.
Tent camps, much like the Great Depression's Hoovervilles, are on the rise again. Local governments aren't too pleased with the upswing of these camps. Officials say these camps violate housing ordinances, and it's unsure as to the exact number of residents throughout the camps. But according to the National Alliance to End Homelessness, quote, "These numbers are only the initial waves of what could be a larger crisis."
The government has dropped a murder charge against a Marine who pleaded guilty to declaration of duty for killing an unarmed Iraqi detainee in 2004. Sergeant Jermaine Nelson could have faced a maximum sentence of life in prison. Instead, he now faces a maximum sentence of 1 year in prison and a dishonorable discharge. Sergeant Nelson admitted that he knew it was wrong but fired anyway on orders from his squad leader, former Sergeant Jose Luis Nazario. The jury consisted of 8 Marines, all of whom served in Iraq or Afghanistan.
Now let's take a look at your global news. Flooding in the Philippines has killed 246 people. Tropical storm Ketsana has brought some of the world's worst flooding the country has seen in 40 years. When the storm hit the capital city of Manila on Saturday, over a month's worth of rain fell in 12 hours. The Foreign Affairs Department said, quote, "Washington has pledged $100,000 for relief along with U.S. Navy aid."
In London, the sudden death of a 14-year-old Natalie Morton was coincidentally hours after receiving a vaccination for cervical cancer. The vaccination, called Cervarix, is routinely administered to millions of young girls across Europe and North America. No safety concerns about the vaccine has been raised elsewhere. Professor Malcolm McRae, who studies viruses, says overall this is an extremely well-tested vaccine. Cervical cancer is a critical health issue and disease and is responsible for almost 1,000 deaths annually in the UK.
Former Peruvian President Alberto Fujimori has pled guilty to embezzling and illegal wiretapping. During his 2000 election, Fujimori used government money to bribe politicians for support. Government prosecutor Jose Antonio Bardalas asked the court for an 8-year prison sentence, $1.7 million fine to the state, and $1 million to the victims of the wiretapping. Sentencing is set for Wednesday.
Coming up, the wait is finally over for an injured Celtics player, and the Miami Dolphins welcome a new quarterback. All this and more ahead in sports right after the break.